welcome back. I'm so happy that you're back here. And no, so let's get started. What is gonna be we're gonna be speaking about today. So one of the things that I always struggle as a creative in the creative space, or just overall being a wellness space, is creativity. I think one of the hardest things for us is to stay creative when we have so much going on in our lives that we really don't know like an outlet. With that being said, I feel like one of the first things that I do is just step back. I feel like we tend to push ourselves to the limit, and once we hit that peak, we no longer have any ideas or like what to do, or we're copying. I mean, I do believe that no one is an original. I believe that we are always getting inspired by other people, which I truly believe that's really good, because we're able to find inspiration in things and in others. Taking a step back from whatever you are doing is the number one step, I would say, if you're having like stuck in creativity. Like, when I say step back, I mean like literally shut down, stop being on social media, or stop doing any type of work that you're doing, and give it a break for like as much as you can. I'm not saying to forget about it, but like give yourself a deadline. I would say like a week, 2 weeks. Just take a step back, because sometimes you will get overwhelmed, and that could mess up with our nervous system and our stress. I believe the second thing that I like to do is surround myself with creative people and people who are always doing creative stuff. I think one of the people that I really like to not hang out, but I always like bounce back with idea is the photographer that I use. Her name is Lore. Me and her are always doing creative photo shoots, and she's someone that understands my eye of how I do things. So I feel like being around people who are creative is really good. Yes, I get it, you want to have fun, you want to have this, but sometimes those type of friends that you always have fun are not the people that are going to give you creativity. Or maybe they will, don't get me wrong, but you gotta find things like people who are always like kind of in your same environment, so you can always get creative. I feel like, you know, like we're living a time where like there's so much going on, and like in social media, like you always want to be like you always have to be creative, quote unquote, but sometimes maybe you just have to be simple. Maybe you don't have to go that hard to, you know, all the time. Maybe you can just have that simple piece, and that should be it. Next thing is joy. I feel like we forget that the process has to be fun, and sometimes I believe, even myself, I went through that. You know, whatever you're going through in the process of creativity is to find joy through that. You know, touch your inner child, touch like what you used to do. I always go back to things that I used to do when I started, like, let's say content, and like I started like blogging. Like, I always feel like things that always make us feel good are the things that we used to do as kids. And I feel like being an adult, we really don't touch our inner child, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many of us like lose creativity and are always in a funk. Like, being a creative is not easy, and I think people forget that who are not in that space, or people around you who are not in that space, don't understand the pressure that you feel to be creative. So always do something fun that you love to do, that touch your inner child. Either that's painting, or playing with Barbies. Whatever that feeling that makes you feel happy, enjoy, try to do it again, because that's so important to your creativity. I think I would say one of my favorite websites, or like I know people say is behave.net, I would say, and Pinterest, and like anything else, like following people who are actually creative, or people not only that always doing creative stuff, but like give a good message, like, you know, that actually give you motivation. I feel like people who are giving so much motivation all the time, that could be a drag sometimes, but you had to like literally find people who actually motivate you. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. But like, for example, for me, I was finding a lot of people who were like in the wellness space, and not a lot of people who were creative. For me, to be honest, I rather follow people who are creative more than they in the wellness space, because the wellness space sometimes could be overwhelming. I feel like, especially now, like I feel like people feel like they can eat anything, or like you gotta do this and this is gonna give you the C word, or this is gonna give you that. And I feel like for me, I had to be more creative, and the creative aspect will help me not only be creative in the wellness space, but also be creative as a stylist or and as a content creator. So what I'm trying to say, let's say if you're like in the beauty industry, or you're like in the fitness industry, I would say try to find people the opposite of you, like someone who's in the fashion industry. If you're in the fitness industry, and like whatever she does, like as like with her clothing and like her videos, you can do that with your fitness. Like that's the way that I would put things my way. So yeah, you are your own, and honestly you are like in your own pace. I know I'm a victim of that. I'm always like rushing and like fighting with time, but you like in your own time, but also put the work. You know, don't restrict yourself, don't fight with time. Just know that you're doing everything in your power to be creative and do anything that you want to do. Anyways, I just want to say that because I feel like, at least for me, I like right now, like some days I just don't want to post, or like I just don't want to do anything. And creativity is really important for me, just because I want to, it's my inner child. It's how I feel like my inner child is being fulfilled. So I know for a lot of artists and a lot of people who have a hard week and I feel burned out, it is really reconnecting and having a balanced diet. Also like lifestyle, I think that's so important, having like a good lifestyle. People don't understand, like there's people that I know, and like I know that you probably one of them, like who just focus on the work and like you're and like work as being a creator and being an artist, and forget about themselves. So when you lose yourself as a person, you don't take care of yourself. And I don't mean taking care only by putting nice clothes, I mean like eating good food, like what's the lifestyle that you want, and you know, drinking your water, staying hydrated, eating whole foods, reading books. Books can get your creativity, and it doesn't have to be a book about freaking art. It could be a book of about a novel. Like you gotta find things that actually spark you, but you have to disconnect. That's the only way that you are gonna be able to connect with yourself. If you disconnect from the world, but I know somebody else has responsibility, but try to disconnect and try to like at least change your lifestyle. Which tips help you? I know sometimes as a creator and as a creator, it's so hard for us to find creativity, but really like we have the magic in us, and we have the desire and the creativity in us to do what we want and what we vision. I know sometimes we lack a resource, trust me, I know that, but work with what you have, go at your own pace, find joy in whatever you are doing, try to listen to your gut and get inspired by your peers. And if your peers are not inspiring you, try to find other peers that can inspire you for whatever you want to do, because I think that's really important. I know sometimes in this world, in the creative world, it feels so lonely, because I do feel like that too, but don't give up. Always push for the best. Like today was one of the days for me, like I just was like, yo, like I'm myself my own supporter. No one supports whatever I do, no one is booking me, but I had to keep going because it's what I want. And this, I know, is what you want for yourself. Así que te quiero mucho, and I see you next week. Bye.